At 2:17 in the morning, the GPS spoke with absolute certainty. Continue straight for 12 miles. The voice was calm, neutral, confident. The kind of confidence that comes from being right thousands of times before. Caleb Ward glanced from the glowing screen to the black ribbon of highway stretching ahead of his headlights. He had been driving trucks for almost 3 decades, long enough to trust his instincts, but also long enough to know when not to argue with technology. The GPS units on his dashboard had guided him through snowstorms, road closures, detours, and dead zones, without ever truly failing him. Tonight should have been routine. Kansas City to Eastern Ohio, refrigerated load, tight schedule, but nothing unreasonable. He had done this run before, or at least versions of it, enough times that the miles blurred together. Still, something felt wrong. A few minutes earlier, he'd passed a highway sign that didn't sit right in his memory. The color had been right, the shape had been right, but the font looked old, not weathered, just outdated, like something preserved rather than maintained. He told himself he was tired. It was late. That happens. The road was mostly empty. A couple of cars had passed him an hour ago, but now there was nothing. Just the steady rumble of the engine, the faint hiss of tires on asphalt, and the occasional flicker of reflective paint catching the headlights. The GPS spoke again. Continue straight. Caleb adjusted his grip on the wheel and rolled his shoulders. He checked the clock. Plenty of drive time left. No need to rush. That's when the exit sign appeared. It came out of the darkness too cleanly, as if someone had just switched it on. Bright green, sharp reflective lettering, I-44 East, 1 mile. Caleb frowned. Interstate 44 East. Out here. That didn't match his internal map. He'd been on this corridor before. He was sure of it. He reached for the radio, half expecting some late-night talk show or distant country station. The radio went dead, not static, not fading, just silence. He tapped the knob. Nothing. The GPS chirped. Take exit 233. Exit 233. He'd never heard of exit 233. Caleb glanced at his second GPS, the older one he kept as backup. It lagged for a second, then refreshed. Same instruction, same exit number, same calm voice. He told himself it had to be a reroute. Construction. Temporary realignment. States did that sometimes, reopening old stretches to manage traffic. But there were no orange signs, no cones, no flashing lights, just the arrow. Caleb signaled and eased the truck onto the exit ramp. The moment his tires left the main interstate, his phone lost signal completely. No bars, no searching, just an empty icon. The ramp curved sharply, tighter than modern standards allowed. Caleb slowed, feeling the trailer lean slightly behind him. The pavement felt different under the tires, rougher, older, like it hadn't been resurfaced in decades. At the bottom of the ramp, the road merged into a divided highway with 2 narrow lanes in each direction. No overhead lights, no traffic, no sound but his own engine. The GPS recalculated instantly. Continue straight for 12 miles. Caleb exhaled through his nose. He didn't like this. Interstates were alive even at night. You could feel them, hear them. This road felt abandoned. He rolled down the window an inch. The air smelled wrong. Not farmland, not exhaust, not rain. It smelled old, like damp concrete and cold soil that hadn't seen sunlight in a long time. He rolled the window back up and focused on the road. 5 miles in, he passed a speed limit sign, white rectangle, black letters, speed limit 55. Normal enough, except the font was wrong, thicker, blockier. Beneath it, almost hidden under grime, was a smaller line of text, State HWI Dept, 1968. Caleb's stomach tightened. He slowed without realizing it. The GPS didn't react. Another mile passed. Then another sign, a green overhead marker suspended by rusted metal supports. Next services. 10 miles, no logos, no modern icons, just text. 10 miles came and went. No services, no exits. The road began to subtly change. The trees on either side pressed closer, taller than they should have been this close to an interstate. Their branches formed a loose canopy overhead, swallowing what little moonlight there was. The reflective lane markers grew sparse. Some were missing entirely. Caleb checked his mirrors. Behind him, the road disappeared into darkness so complete it felt like a wall. He told himself to turn around. But where? There were no shoulders wide enough for a safe turnaround, no exits, no cross streets, and the GPS kept insisting this was the fastest route. Then he saw headlights. They appeared far ahead, faint pinpricks of yellowish light, not the bright white of modern vehicles, softer, older. Relief washed over him. Someone else was out here. As the vehicle approached, Caleb noticed how low it rode. Wide body, long hood. A car from another era. They passed each other without slowing, no horn, no wave. As the headlights swept over Caleb's cab, he caught a glimpse of the driver. A man, middle-aged, hat pulled low, hands locked at 10 and 2. Eyes staring straight ahead, unblinking. The car was gone in seconds. Caleb realized his heart was pounding. He checked the clock. 2:43 a.m. 26 minutes had passed since he took the exit. That wasn't possible. He should have been well past this stretch by now. The GPS updated. Continue straight for 7 miles. 7 miles to what? Another sign appeared. Welcome to Marrow County. The sign was brown, wood, not metal. Below the county name was a seal Caleb didn't recognize. The paint was chipped but legible. Founded 1912, the road narrowed, the divider disappeared. Now it was a simple 2-lane highway, no median, no rumble strips. Caleb slowed to 40. His radio crackled suddenly, bursting to life. A voice came through, distorted but clear enough. Any unit, repeat, road closure, unauthorized traffic. Caleb grabbed the mic. Breaker, this is Ward Logistics Truck 743. I'm on I-44 East near exit 233. Can anyone confirm this route? Only static answered. Then the voice again, closer this time. You shouldn't be there. The radio went dead. Caleb's hands were sweating. The GPS spoke. In 1 mile, you will arrive at your destination. Destination? That made no sense. His delivery was hours away. The road ahead dipped sharply, descending into a shallow valley. Fog pooled thickly at the bottom, glowing faintly in his headlights. As he entered the fog, the temperature gauge on his dash dropped 10 degrees in seconds. The fog swallowed everything beyond the hood. The GPS screen flickered. Caleb slowed to a crawl. Shapes emerged in the fog, buildings, low concrete structures set back from the road, dark windows, rusted signs, a gas station. The sign out front read, Gas, 29C. Caleb stared. That price hadn't existed in his lifetime. The pumps were old, mechanical, the kind with spinning numbers behind glass. The station lights flickered on as he approached, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement. Figures moved inside the building. People. Caleb stopped the truck. The GPS went silent. The engine idled, loud in the stillness. A man stepped out of the station. He wore a uniform, dark blue, a patch on the shoulder that said State Highway Patrol. But the design was old, obsolete. The man approached slowly, hands visible. Caleb rolled down the window halfway. Evening, the man said. His voice was calm, southern. You're a long way from where you ought to be, Caleb swallowed. I followed the interstate. The man nodded slowly. That's what they all say. All who? The man glanced back at the fog, at the dark shapes beyond the station. Drivers, he said. Strays, folks who trust machines more than maps. Caleb's chest tightened. What place is this? The man didn't answer right away. He looked up at the stars, or what little could be seen through the fog. This road was closed in 74, he said finally. Flood damage, sinkholes. They rerouted the interstate 30 miles north, tore up the signs, buried most of it. Then how am I here? Caleb asked. The man smiled faintly. That's the question, isn't it? Behind him the station door opened. More people stepped out, men, women, all dressed in styles that didn't belong to this century. They watched silently. Caleb felt trapped. I need to turn around, he said. The patrolman shook his head. You can't go back the way you came. Why not? Because it's not there anymore. Caleb looked in his mirror. The road behind him was gone, not hidden by fog. Gone, just darkness. The patrolman stepped closer. You've got a choice, he said quietly. You can stay, or you can leave. Leave where? The man pointed down the road, where the fog thinned into a narrow corridor of visibility. There's a stretch ahead, he said. Still connected. Barely. If you drive it fast enough, you might cross back. Might? The man's eyes met his. No one's done it slow. Caleb didn't hesitate. He slammed the window up, threw the truck into gear and hit the accelerator. The engine roared. The trailer rattled. The figures faded into the fog as the truck surged forward. The road bucked and dipped, asphalt crumbling beneath the tires. Sections were missing entirely, replaced by dirt and gravel. Old signage lay broken along the shoulders. The GPS screamed static. Caleb didn't slow. Ahead he saw it, a gap where the road simply ended. Beyond it, nothing but darkness. He floored it. The truck launched. For a moment there was no sound at all. Then, impact. The world slammed back into place. Caleb woke up to flashing lights and voices. He was slumped over the wheel. The truck tilted awkwardly. A modern patrol car sat ahead of him, lights strobing. A young officer approached, wide-eyed. Sir, can you hear me? Caleb nodded weakly. You're lucky, the officer said. Another 10 feet and you'd have gone into the ravine. Caleb looked around. He was on a narrow service road, cracked and overgrown. The remains of an old overpass loomed nearby, half collapsed and fenced off. Where am I? Caleb asked. The officer glanced at his clipboard. Old Route 44, he said. This road's been closed since the 70s. Caleb laughed, a shaky sound. My GPS brought me here. The officer frowned. That's impossible. This road doesn't exist on any modern map. Caleb looked at his dashboard. Both GPS units were dark, dead. Later, after the tow, after the report, after the sun rose, Caleb asked an older state worker about the area. The man sighed. Every few years, he said, someone ends up out there, usually at night, usually following directions they shouldn't. Why? Caleb asked. The man looked at the broken roadway, at the weeds growing through asphalt. Some roads don't like being forgotten, he said. Caleb quit long-haul trucking 6 months later. He still drives, but he doesn't use GPS anymore. And if a road ever feels wrong, he doesn't ask why. He turns around. If you're still listening and you made it all the way to the end, take a moment to subscribe. These stories only survive because people keep telling them. And if you've ever had a moment where technology led you somewhere it shouldn't have, leave a comment. Some roads disappear, others wait, and sometimes they're still listening.